Hi there, and welcome to my channel, which I am still calling Work in Progress. As we still kind of continue forward, one baby step at a time, to kind of see where this whole YouTube channel idea is going to take us, but I'm still holding the idea that I really want to get with other people just like me, you and me, regular everyday people, and that will share stories of their particular life journey, because I think that is where we can really, really help each other. That is where people that are struggling with a particular thing and you happen to have gone through that same challenge, by listening to your story, they're going to get help. They're going to begin to get motivated, inspired by your story. And then it goes on, and they share their story, that kind of thing. I think by sharing, we discover we're more alike than not alike, and I really believe that in today's world, the situation we're in, going through this evolution that we are going through, this human consciousness evolution, that this is a time we really, really have to gather together. We really also have to put into place practices that are really going to help all of us as we are moving through this not only challenging time, but very, very important time. So, for those of you that are listening right now, if any one of you or several of you, that'd be good, would like to have a conversation with me that we'll do through Zoom and put on this channel, and it'll be about your particular journey and challenge, and whatever you feel that you've been through that possibly could help another person is really what I'm hoping to find. So my contact information is always below this video. Well, it's below every video, not just this video. So you'll find my contact information below the video, and please reach out to me. I promise I'll get right back to you. And even if you just want to have a conversation that's offline about what you've been through and really what maybe you'd like to share, we can start out that way. Okie dokie. So today, I want to talk about something that I don't really think gets talked about a lot, and it's really been something that's been coming up in my world quite a bit lately. And let me start with a question. The question is, do you feel you are in control of your life? Do you feel, or do you sense, or do you believe that you're in control of everything that happens or doesn't happen, could happen, may happen? Are you in control of that in your particular life? That's the question. Because here's the deal. When we feel we're in control of our life and everything that happens and so forth, we're screwed. That's it. We're basically screwed. Because through that false belief, through that thinking that kind of can make us feel better, but it's not better, through that is where we suffer. Through that is where we have no growth, personal growth, no understanding, no connection to what's really going on in this world, what's really going on in our own life. And this is not easy to learn, and certainly I still, no doubt, struggle with this. I get, on some level, reasonably deep level, I get that I'm not in control. You know, there's no doer here, there's no controller here. It's all through my higher self, all through the divine, all through whatever you want to call it, spirit. That's where we could say control is, and even the word control is the wrong word. It really is. But in this human experience we call control. We think we're in control, or we think that's where we can think also we screwed up, or we're because we were in control or not in control. The control word isn't it. When we're talking about on a higher level, it's our guides that are always have our best interest and always know what's going on. They're the ones that are directing and producing, in a way, we call it this event that we're having called a human experience. So it's them that are really running the show, but we get into this human experience. Part of our spirit moves into this body, and part of the deal is we forget everything that we knew in terms of who we really are and why we even came here. And we get lost, and then we begin to think that we're in control of this life that we don't even understand. You know, what I've discovered for myself, even though I know this, but I get caught a lot on thinking I'm back in control somehow, even though I know there's nobody here that's in control. I get caught, and I get caught in the fear. Because what happens is when we've lived a life, which we all start out this way, we're living a life thinking that we're in control of our life, that we're making decisions, that we're running the show. And as we begin to kind of come out of the fog, whenever that is in life, midlife, early life, later life, sometime, we begin to come out of the fog and begin to open our minds to another way of seeing maybe what is possible here and what maybe is the truth here. And so we begin then to do the self-inquiry, the meditation, retreats, whatever you've done, to start to explore a different way of seeing this life we're in. And then we begin to maybe open up to the idea, but wait a minute, I'm not in control. I'm not controlling everything. But the thing is when we've lived a life of thinking we're in control, it is really, really scary when we're going to try to let go of that belief. And when we begin to hear, in whatever way we hear, a voice that's basically our guides, it speaks to us through books, through a sign on a wall, whatever, a book that falls in our hands, or just the voice in our head that really is the guides that are trying to help us see that we're not in control, and that we're, by just following what is going to happen, by just allowing our life to flow and knowing that we're not running the show, that can feel hugely, hugely scary, very frightening. So we go from this idea that, I'm in control and, tough decisions, and maybe we recognize sometimes I don't always make the right decision, but I'm in control. And for me, this has become a really, really big opportunity, I'll call it, to really not just look at this, but really begin to unpack it, to see what is it that's going on. And when I recognize this, I realize, okay, I see that when I've lived my life of thinking I'm in control, then to let go of that idea, to relax that idea, is very scary, even though I get it. I totally get it. I totally grasp this idea that there's no me running a show out here, and yet I kind of want to pick and choose, so to speak, when I'll kind of let go of the idea that I control. So maybe on easier things, simpler things, I'm willing to say, okay, I'm just letting go, I'm turning this over, let go, let God, all the different things that we've heard, and so on smaller things, I can do that. And I decide what's a smaller thing, right? But on issues that I'm more attached to, where I want a certain outcome, or I want to believe it in a certain way, or I do believe it in a certain way, to try to let go of that idea of I'm not in, in control is frightening. And then all the questions come up. Well, wait a minute. How do I know? Well, what if I am in control, but I'm pretending I'm not, and then what could happen? And we have all of this insanity that goes through our mind. To really begin to trust the unseen, because that's what we're trusting. We're trusting the unseen, which is our spirit, our guides, the unseen, because we're here in this physical realm, so we're not seeing as we see our physical realm. We're not seeing things in the unseen world. It literally is unseen. So there's a trust, a complete trust that we're not in control, we're not running the show, and that unseen, whether you call it your spirit guides, your higher self, God, God, the divine, whatever, that's where the show's being run from. But we have this conflict, this confusion, and that's when the fear sets in to want to really get our attention back to feeling that we're in control. And if we don't feel in control, then we're feeling unsafe, And yet, this whole idea of thinking we're in control is, like I said, we're screwed. Because that is where all the suffering comes from. That's where all the kind of waste of time comes from. That's where we're not in the moment really getting the richness of what we have here. We're caught up in worry. We're caught up in trying to figure out how to make something happen or not happen. We're caught up in, it's a melodrama that goes on, and we're just caught up in it. And when we're caught up in it, it really is miserable. There's no peace of mind in that. There's just a struggle and a suffering. And it's almost crazy, When we really think about it, when I think about this, I think, life would be a lot easier, much simpler, if I wasn't thinking I'm the controller here. Because if I wasn't thinking I'm the controller here, and I could trust, really, really, and this is the bottom line, trust 100% that my higher self is the one that's making sure everything is happening for my highest good. And in this human experience, I don't always maybe experience it or see it exactly how it's going to turn out. And it could look back assward sometimes. Like I could be at one place, and have been in my life, where I'm thinking, oh my God, look what just happened. Oh, this is terrible. And get into the trauma and the drama. And then maybe a little while ahead of time, even maybe a year or 2 years, I look back and I go, oh, had that, what looked bad, had not happened, I wouldn't be where I am today, which is the perfect place I want to be. So we know that, we've all had that experience many, many times over. Yet, we still have the fear of just trusting the unseen. And I know from talking to so many people that have been able to make that shift, that their lives are so much more peaceful, joyful, without worry, without anxiety. That's not to say they're living a perfect life. They still can get ill, they can get sick. Got to take a sip here. But their reaction to those things are different than when we think we're in control. Their reaction is more, okay, I know this is happening. It's not my preference. I don't like it. However, I know there's a reason, and I know it's going to be for my highest good. And that's the trust. That's the trust. And really, we're trusting ourselves because we are our highest self. We are that other level. We just are one piece of a spirit that came down here to this human experience to form. And it can be an incredibly fabulous experience when we give up control. Give it up, let it go. You know? It's taken us, the idea of control takes us down a awful path, takes us down misery lane. It never is good. And even though the times that maybe it looks good, maybe you had something fantastic happen because you felt you controlled so many parts of the whatever the event is, and then you can go look at yourself and say, pat yourself on the shoulder and say, whoa, I did a good job of controlling that situation. Or if I hadn't been in control, God knows what would have happened, and you know that story. So there's those times where we begin to really get caught up and hooked into the idea that we're in control. But we're not. So what helps me when I start to struggle with this whole thing about thinking I'm in control, and by the way, when we're thinking we're in control, it's where our judgment is very high. Because we're judging others, we're thinking, why doesn't this person do that? Or we're judging that they're not doing the thing they need to do because, again, this control thing. And we're all over the place with it. What keeps us totally occupied 24/7 when we think we're in control, we're occupied with the illusion, we're occupied with the dream of life, that we're somebody, a body out here that's in control. So, what I find for myself when I really catch myself, which I do catch myself a lot, is that that's the time I need to really go within and really do self-inquiry so that I reconnect with my higher self. And I think everybody's unique in the way that they do connect with their higher self, the unseen, intuition. You know, that part that comes in sometimes like very strong, don't do this, or yes, do this, whatever it is. This is where we really begin to have the life we want, have the life we really desire, is when we can let go of being in control. I always say to myself very often, thank God I'm not in control, because I would not be doing a good job of this, believe me. None of us would be, because we're coming from fear when we're in control. We're not coming from truth. We're always coming from fear, and fear of losing something, fear of something happening. It's fear. And when we're coming from fear, it's never going to be a good outcome, you know. You know, what started me on this tangent of really getting in touch with this whole issue about control versus trusting the unseen, and what kind of triggered this for me, not that it was a new idea, but kind of triggered what's going on for me, was that I listened to a video yesterday with Kyle Cease. I don't know if you've watched him. He's fabulous. And what I'll do, I'll actually put the link below this video, so you can listen if you want to what I'm going to tell you about. So he did an interview with a man that has become quite well known as rescuing children that are part of the trafficking, that somehow got caught in this whole trafficking, sexual abuse, where they're being sold, this whole human sexual trafficking issue. And this guy had been a special agent with the government to try to deal with some of these situations, and has ended up going off on his own, and he rescues the children, huge numbers of these who are victims of these people that are doing the trafficking. And he's done amazing things. He's doing amazing things. But really, the story is amazing. However, he speaks to the fact of really listening to the inner world and what he had to go through, because it was he was making decisions that were high risk for him, it felt like, and that he had to really trust, and it was a scary time. And I think he expresses this through his own story of how what went on for him. Really expresses this idea of letting go of the fact that we're in control, and accepting and hearing from that inner world, our inner world, what was the right thing for him to do. And he struggled with this. And anyway, it's an amazing story. And like I said, I'll put the link below. And it really struck me of how often I think I'm in control. And yet there's been other times where I have been in a tremendous amount of struggling and fear, and kind of not knowing which way to turn, and feeling hopeless and helpless, and still though hanging on to the idea that I'm in control. And then at some point the exhaustion takes over, and I'll give it up, and I'll throw my hands up in the air and say, okay, guides, you're it. I can't do this. You're it. You got to take care of this. As if they aren't already. You see, you hand it over, like to let go, like God. The truth is, we're not handing anything over. It's already handed over. It's just that we're not realizing what's really going on. So we start to kind of develop or manufacture another life, thinking this is the life of Susie being in control. So I manufacture that, and that's where, again, all the struggle takes place, because while I'm doing this out here, my life's happening through the unseen guides, through the way it's supposed to happen. It's already been done in the way it's going to be done. It's like in the can already, our life. And so all we have to do is sit back and enjoy it. I always think of that, the what do you call it, the rhyme, or the thing of row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, merrily, 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 life is but a dream. And that helps me, because that lets me know, I'm dreaming this life up out here while my life is happening the way it's supposed to happen, with the right people in charge, or the right spirits, or who's supposed to be in charge, because I'm not. I'm hoping this makes sense. I feel like I'm kind of on a tangent, because I'm kind of wired with this whole idea of really, if we could all just let go of this idea that we are the ones in control, life would be so different. And I feel now that with what's going on in the world, that we're almost running out of time. I don't know how to say it. It's like, if not now, when? Okay, that's what maybe I want to say. If not now, when are we all going to be willing to let life flow through us, so we can, one, enjoy the time we're here, it's a short time, and also be productive in helping through this evolutionary process that we're in. Because in realizing who we really are and what is really going on here, And how can we participate? What is our purpose? Because we all came with a purpose, but we just don't often times actually follow the purpose, Maybe we find out after that, oh, that was my purpose why I was here, and then we reincarnate again into another body. So what I want to encourage today is that the going within and really considering, just even for a moment, if that's all you can do, is consider for a moment, what if you're not in control? What if the truth is you are not in control? And maybe be able to look a little deeper and see what happens when you think you're in control. How are you suffering? How are you struggling? Like I said, I know it's scary, particularly when we've always thought we're in control, to actually relax and enjoy life and let go of that idea. It's scary. It's really hard because we think the norm is we're in control. But the more often that you can go within and use this idea, question within, who's in control? Am I in control? Can I let this go? Am I willing even to try? For 5 minutes? For a couple hours? For a day? For a week? Can I let go and trust? It is a trust. It's a trusting of the unseen. And when we can do that, the benefits are huge. I have to believe that we all want to have peace of mind. I have to believe that none of us want to suffer and struggle and be in the worry and be in the concerns and be in the fight for our life and be in the survival mode. I don't imagine, let me just say that anyone can enjoy that, because it's not enjoyable. Yet, so many of us are living that. We're living in that world of survival. We think we have to survive, and so that puts us in control. And I'm not saying it doesn't look real. I know it does. But it's not. It's not what's going on here. So this may be a huge leap for some that may be listening to this. For others, it may be a kind of middle leap, like you're kind of there, kind of not. A leap like what I've explained, where I am, where I can do it at times, and then at other times I want to grab back of that joystick thinking I'm in control, right? But it takes really practice, like anything. It's building a muscle. It's the more often that we can go within and really, really, really question within ourselves this whole idea of control, and really even challenge ourselves to say, with this particular situation, I'm going to let go. I'm going to really work on me recognizing that I'm not in control, or trusting. Just trusting. And it doesn't come like one day you wake up and you're in total trust. No, it's baby steps. But those baby steps lead to bigger steps, giant steps, where we really begin to more and more release the anxiety and the suffering that come with control. Because that is the benefit. So hopefully this helps somebody out there, and hopefully it made sense. That's always the concern, because I'm not a person to write down what I'm going to talk about. It has to really come through, not me. This is a place I do let go. I will say this. I always let go of control, because I know these conversations I'm having on YouTube, I was going to say with myself, well, it is conversation with myself, I guess, come from a different source. That doesn't come from Susie the controller. It just kind of comes through me, but at the same time there's this personality that's here, and that can get, like I said, kind of wired and excited, and maybe some things don't come through as clearly as they could. I don't know, but we all do the best we can in this idea. But I felt really, really a need to share this today. And, this is basically what I do. It's what I get triggered with or what's going on in my life, and I'm really aware of those things. And like I said, that video or the interview that Kyle Cease did that I listened to yesterday really triggered and got me thinking, and really, I think, also inspired me. Well, I know, inspired me to really look at my purpose and really look at this whole thing of higher self. And it also inspired me to feel that I have no idea where this is going to go, these talks I do right now on YouTube, and I have no idea if interviews are going to actually start to take place, or conversations, whatever we want to call it, that I'm thinking I'd like to do. I don't know where any of it's going to go. However, I do feel very motivated, and that my purpose is to speak about these things that maybe some aren't wanting to speak about, or you've been afraid to speak about. Yesterday on this interview, they were talking about how many people have more now been able to come forward to say they've been molested. And some of that happens in a family. In fact, that was another trigger yesterday. A person I know, the family, this is many, many years ago, because they're adults in their 50s and 60s now, but they were abused by their father, 2 girls. And this came out many, many years ago, where because of their suffering, one of the sisters had drug abuse very badly. And so as this stuff started to surface, and then they could talk about it, and so forth, then that started the healing process. But, it's not been that long that people are even talking about this, because people that have been abused can feel very ashamed and don't want people to know, feel vulnerable, like I've talked about in another video. So I think these subjects are important to talk about for various reasons. And I think when I'm talking about being in control, it also talks about when we can let go of a certain way of believing or thinking and start to change our minds around things, of what we thought maybe was true, or what we thought was what had to be done or shouldn't be done, or don't talk about this but do talk about that. That's all control. So I'm thinking to support now this coming of age, I don't know what to call it, this time of where we have to begin to speak about the things that aren't speakable in a way, or that nobody wants to put themselves out there for the concern of being ridiculed or shamed or whatever. I think for me to get on this bandwagon of saying, let's talk about this stuff. And this is what I'm saying to people out there that are possibly listening to this. Have a conversation with me. Let's put it up on YouTube. Help me open up this whole world of, let's look at stuff that we haven't been willing to look at. And open up so others can. You see, that's what happens, is we start to open up and speak of these things, and other people show up and say, wow, I had that happen to me too, or wow, this happened. And, I mentioned the child abuse and trafficking. There's a whole bunch of stuff out there that people haven't talked about, or afraid to talk about, and some of it is probably pretty innocent and okay to talk about, but still you're holding back. You don't want somebody to know. But maybe just by sharing this something, then, you can help another person. So I know I've been very open about my emotional abuse as a child, and I speak about that in several videos and how that's impacted me. And I feel, yes, it feels kind of vulnerable and uncomfortable to talk about it, because it did cause definitely issues for me. And I still carry some of that wounding and the discomfort and fear that I carried then. And it's affected in the way that I interact with the world. But I know there's so many of us that had different childhoods, that had different impacts on us. And maybe it didn't happen through childhood, maybe it happened in your when you became a young adult, who knows? But it is a sharing. So I guess what I'm saying is, by hearing that interview yesterday, I realized I think I'm on the right track of sharing. At least that's what I feel drawn to do, is to really work with this channel and stay with it and start to see if we can't start sharing our issues, start sharing things that haven't been shared, start sharing for the sole purpose of helping others so they can feel more comfortable to share their past experiences or present experiences for that, for the most part. Yeah, so that's where I'm headed. And again, I hope this all made sense. Again, I want to remind you, if you're willing to have a conversation with me, please check out where my contact information is below the video, and let's talk. Also, please, if you like the video, click like, subscribe, and click next to subscribe, that little doodad that'll tell you when my videos are being published. I pretty much am trying to publish almost every day a video. I have kind of a backup now. We'll see how that goes. But I'm definitely committed to this. I'm into it, and I love to find some helpers here, everyday people, just like you and me, and see what we can actually, how we can actually have an impact on this very challenging time that I think we're all in as humans, you know? So, in the meantime, though, take care, be kind to yourself and be kind to others. I think that's what keeps coming up in my mind lately, to really, if I find myself judging someone, I do find myself doing that, definitely. I back up, hopefully, pretty quick and go, wait a minute, what's going on with me that I'm judging? I have no idea what is going on with that other person, and that's just me thinking I'm in control and thinking I'm a doer out here and yada, yada, yada. So, that's what I do for myself, is I remember to be kind to myself, and that's harder than being kind to others for some reason, but I'm working on that as well. So, until next time, I'm going to get my handy little clicker here and see, I want to get to this place where I could just click this off in one click, and I'm sure it's going to happen. See if it'll happen today. Take care.